We're recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
All right, 10.8, solving equations by factoring. Now, we're not really learning anything new besides one extra step with equations. First off, you went from factoring expressions to now we're factoring these equations. We're solving equations by factoring. So, as you notice here, the new thing is they're equal to 0. That's what the equation is going to have. And this one's equal to 22x squared, but we're going to fix that by saying equal to 0. So let's start off the easy one. This one is already factored. We don't have the factor yet. It's already factored. You just have to figure out what x is. And this is the easy part. All you're doing here is setting x plus 2 equal to 0. And then setting x minus 3 equal to 0. Right? And then this goes back to like the first semester, like second unit, solving equations. Well, how do I move a positive 2 to the other side? I'm going to do the opposite action and subtract it. And in turn, this cancels out. I'm left with x equals 0 minus negative 2, which is x equals negative 2. Right here, we're going to add 3. That's the opposite action. So then x equals 3. Now, before we move on any further, that was really easy. I hope you understand that. It's simple. Factoring, it's already factored. It's equal to 0. Solve for x by doing this. You get x equals negative 2, x equals 3. Now, there's a hint with this. The hint is, if inside your factoring, inside your parentheses, if you just have a single variable that's just isolated by it, whether it be just x or just y, whatever, if there's not a number in front of these variables, then you just take the opposite of what's inside the parentheses. So like in this case, x plus 2, I'm going to take the opposite to make it x equals, and it's going to be negative 2. So you have to go through the solving part. If it's x minus 3, the opposite, so it's positive 3. Okay, and we'll go on, I'll show you that again with these other ones to show you how that works. Alright, now this example 2, you have to factor it. And this goes back to 10.2. Make your parentheses, because leading coefficient is 1, we'll put x in front. What times what gives me negative 8, and we'll add to give me negative 2. That's going to be a negative 4 and a positive 2. Once again, if I go back to my hint I just talked about, what's the opposite of negative 4? It's a positive 4, so x equals positive 4 here. What's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2. And that's what x equals. So I didn't have to actually write it out and solve it if you don't want to. Just you know that trick and it takes cuts out some time. Last example here, we have to rewrite this to look like this, right? We want our equations equal to 0. So all we have to do here is just move this 22x squared over to here. How do I move something from one side of the equation to the other? It's again, opposite action. So subtract 22x squared. And then we'll have 2x to the third power plus 48. I'm going to write the 22x squared in the middle because that's in descending order with the variables and exponents. So minus 22x squared and then plus 48x. And we did this because now the equation is going to be equal to 0. All right. Now, this goes back to 10.5, I believe it was, factor completely. So you need to look at this and say, okay, do we have a GCF? Yes, 2 can go to all of those numbers, as well as an x. Okay, I can pull an x out of each term. So 2x is my GCF out front. I'm going to pull all out here. So 2 divided by 2 would be 1. x3 minus x is x squared. 22 divided by 2 would be negative 11. X squared minus x would be x. 48 divided by 2 is 24. And then the x's cancel out. So that's what I'm left with. Alright, now I still have to factor this trinomial. So I'm going one step further here. So 2x, make 2 parentheses, it's going to equal 0. Once again, this trinomial is leading coefficient of 1. So I go straight to my parentheses, put my x in front, and I figure out what times what give me 24. And we'll add to give me negative 11. And that was going to be x minus 8, x minus 3. The negative times the negative will give me a positive. 8 times 3 is 24. Add these two negatives together to get negative 11. So I've done factoring. I've done everything I need to do to factor this problem. Now I just got to solve for x. Once again, take the opposite of what's here because there's no number for those x's. So x equals 8, x equals 3. And this one, though, we have a 2x out here. That still counts. 2x equals 0. Well, that's pretty simple. Divide by 2. I get x equals 0. So usually, I think almost every time, you have an x or a 2x out there, or whatever number it's going to be, it's always going to be equal to 0. And that would be your first example, first three examples of 10.8.